Hello, lovely ladies in the Goddess Creations for Women group. Well, welcome back to the Empowerment Marathon. And we are now in, after a 2 week break, we are now in week 9, which means I think that we are up to our 17th video. And I am very grateful to be doing all of this with these lovely, wonderful experts. Hi, I'm Shamna Lee Gray from Goddess Creations, and I am the Empowerment Midwife. And I am passionate about showing and sharing all themes and things needed for you to feel more empowered, more aligned to your inner goddess. Well, at the moment, I have with me the lovely Annie Naqvi. And Annie Naqvi is a holistic transformational coach, and she supports you in reaching your full potential. Now, that is something beautiful. Now, why does she do this? Having survived the 2004 South Asian tsunami, she is now really on a mission for women, for people to really connect with their higher purpose and to live the life they are supposed to live and be inspired. So, that's what she's out. She wants to inspire millions of people, 250,000 people, to connect with themselves and their inner purpose. Also, Annie Naqvi has also been on the Oprah Winfrey show to share about her survival of the tsunami. And isn't it a blessing that we can now also hear her story here in the interview as well? So I am very excited that Annie will be sharing with us on how to activate your joy to connect with your higher self. So welcome, Annie. Good to see you. And I would love to
Great to see
say, lovely
you, Shamna.
viewers, is that Annie is reaching us from Sri Lanka, where she had the tsunami experience all the way back in 2004. So I find it totally amazing that she is even at location. So good to see you, Annie.
Great to see you too, Shamna. Thanks for having me on the show.
Right. So, since we are here in Sri Lanka, or at least you are here in Sri Lanka, and by the way, viewers, if you're watching live, just do a hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, do a hashtag replay so we can connect. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments because it is so wonderful to be able to connect with you all. So, Annie, you are now in Sri Lanka, where all those years ago, and we are talking about 16 years ago, you had that
15
experience
years
of a
ago.
tsunami. I mean, tell us about it. Wow. Tell us about it.
Yeah, um, I was on holiday on the east coast of Sri Lanka in a little place, in a little village called Aragon Bay, on the side of the island. And I was asleep in my hut, sleeping off a Boxing Day hangover because it was the day after Christmas. And I woke up to my door in my hut flinging open and a ton of water crashing in. And before I knew it, within a millisecond, I was underwater for my life. So it was, I was fully in it. I nearly drowned a number of times. I was trapped in the building that was a concrete hut, so it was very dark inside, and all the water that was coming in was black. The tsunami water was black, so you couldn't see anything. So you're completely disorientated, couldn't see which way was up or down. Imagine all the furniture that you have in a room that's all rolling around with you. So you're like a grain of rice in a washing machine. That's how I described it on the Oprah show as well. A grain of rice in a washing machine. So you can imagine how small a grain of rice is and what's going on with you being in a washing machine. I survived. I managed to, eventually the hut disintegrated because of the power of the tsunami. And so even though I was drowning in the hut, eventually the hut did begin to kind of like fall apart. And then I was kind of swept inland with the wave as it was going inland, basically. And I was super lucky and got thrown into the path of a tree that basically saved my life. And I just held onto that tree for dear life and waited until the water had kind of sucked back out to sea again. And then, I'd sustained quite a few injuries. I'd gotten trapped underneath a falling building as I had been being washed out. So that was the second time I thought I was going to die. That very moment I was trapped under the building, and the second time that I thought I was going to die, that this palm reader had read my palm a few years back, and he'd said that I was going to have a near-death experience, but I was going to survive it. And in the moment that I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die, and my life was flashing before my eyes, that memory came up from, I don't know where, my intuition, somewhere. And at this very same moment, the building moved out of the way, and I was saved. And then I was thrown into the path of the tree, which then ultimately saved
Oh,
me.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Well, I'm already horrified at the whole experience that you have just even shared here in a nutshell. The fact that you wake up and your whole home is flooded immediately within seconds, and you are, I don't know, you have nowhere to go, and yet you're having to surrender to the elements. Such a profound experience. So when finally the wave subsided, how what did you experience in the your surroundings or with around people? What was the light bulb moment in that moment at that time when you could come up for a breather, let's say?
Well, I mean, the wave didn't really survive. So there were 7 tsunamis in total on the East Coast. So what happened was that in the first one, I got washed into that tree eventually, and the water got sucked back out to the sea. Now, obviously, back then, tsunamis weren't as they are now. Like now, everybody knows what tsunami is, what it looks like. But back then, really very well known. So no, we didn't have this knowledge that when the sea goes back out to the ocean, not to go back to the shore. So I'd seen my friends standing on a pole or on a derelict building, and so my reaction was to get to them because I was in shock, nearly died a number of times, didn't know what was going on, had no clue. One minute I'd been asleep, the next minute I was underwater drowning. And so the only thing I could think of was to get to them. When we did get to them, first of all, my friend didn't recognize me because she said I looked like a swamp monster because my hair was full of debris and twigs and mud. My face was covered with mud. I'd scraped half my face off from where I'd gotten trapped underneath a falling building. So she didn't recognize me when I went up to her, but she recognized my voice because I kept saying Shri, and she was like, Annie, is that you? And I said, yes, it's me. And because her boyfriend had sustained quite a bad injury on his arm, he wanted to go back towards the shore, back to the hotel that we had been staying in. But Shri already knew that the hotel didn't exist anymore. But we were also we just followed him, but then we got caught in the second wave. We nearly got caught in the second wave. And as we were walking, some people started running back towards us in the opposite direction and screaming, water, water again. And as we looked up, because we were trying to navigate the floor, because obviously the floor was full of broken glass, barbed wire, nails, electric wires. I mean, imagine the whole world turned upside down, an Armageddon, right? So we started walking back, and then we saw the water coming again. So I don't know how we managed to find the energy, and but the human body is so amazing. The survival instinct to stay alive kicks in, and even though I had leaden arms from hanging onto this tree, I was able to turn around and find some strength and energy to start running again. So we started running back in the direction that we'd come from. And then we were really lucky, and we were taken up to a kind of like a mound that was just big, that we managed to survive the second wave. But we saw the second wave coming over, people running around like ants, and they just disappeared as the wave came over. And it was really quite horrifying watching all these people, and there was also the people that were staying in the hut next door to me, that I saw them down there, and they were two of these people, but luckily they did survive. So, but yeah.
So what does this
So then,
do for you? What does this do for you at that moment in that horrendous situation? Are you aware of God at that moment, or goddess at that moment, or are you? What happens to the expansion of your? It's almost like you go into hyper vigilance, I would say. So what happens to your awareness of world, universe, surroundings? There's something happens, I'm sure, with you at that moment internally. Can you share about
well, I
that?
mean, yeah, so basically, I mean, unless you've ever been through something like that, it's very difficult to explain. But anything that you've ever thought about intellectually or mentally is completely gone from your mind. Your body goes into pure animal survival instinct. It's just basic human instinct, or a career, or any achievements like that. None of that matters. Your brain and your body gets rid of any information that is not required in that very moment to just survive. Okay. So it's like the basest of animal instincts that that comes out. And you know, it's really just that. You know, you're not really thinking about anything. All you're doing is computing, where is this water going, how am I going to get out, you know, noticing that the jungle's about to start, that there are dead bodies in the water next to you, that if you don't find something to hold on to, you could get knocked unconscious and drown. It's really very basic survival instinct, and
So
it's
how
very
long
difficult
did
to
this
explain
period last?
unless you've got.
Yeah. So how long did this period? How
Sorry.
long did this episode last? How long did this last? And also, I'm also very curious is how after that period, how do you then pick up your life from there?
Well, I mean, the period lasted for quite some time because we were on a remote part of the island, and the fifth wave took the bridge out that you could get in and out of that area, the peninsula from. So we were surrounded by a crocodile-filled lagoon on one side, and a jungle infested with snakes, leopards, and elephants on the other side. So there was no way for us to get out, and we were actually stranded. Plus, we were on the wrong side of the island because it wasn't in season that time. And I remember by lunchtime, okay, and we need to find out what's happened. Some people on the other side of the bay had escaped with their car and their jeep intact. And so I knew, having been a journalist at the BBC in the past, that we needed to get information. We needed to find out what had happened, because when we had information, then we would know how we would progress. And I sort of basically commandeered the jeep, the radio in the jeep, and just said, I need to listen to the news, and found out that there had been an earthquake in Indonesia, and that's what had caused the tsunami. And I started to give announcements to all the people that were coming up from the shore that had survived. And after a while, when I realized that it was an Asia-wide thing and we weren't the only ones, I kind of knew that the only way we were going to get out of there is if we got press coverage on our plight. Having worked at the BBC 3 or 4 years previously, I somehow managed to remember the number of the BBC switchboard off by heart. And this same Jeep people had a phone, so I was able to use their phone to contact the people. I just said to them, I need you to listen to me very carefully, and you need to get in touch with the British High Commission. And they did. I mean, I told them the story, and then they did get the British High Commission to contact us. But we didn't get
And help
airlifted till the
came
next
later
day.
on, yes. Oh, right, yes. So this experience
Not
is a
till the
very
next day.
profound, no, but this experience is a very profound experience. So this is like, actually, it is life changing. So I would like to know, like, sure, you had to pick up your life again, and that we could go into that, but that would take much longer than the time that we have at the moment. But I am curious as to how did your life change from that moment onwards? What was your aha erlebnis, your light bulb, your wake up call? What did this do for you to change your life, Annie?
Well, as I was interviewed on the Oprah show, Oprah asked me a sort of similar question and said, how is life now and everything. And I said, Oprah, on the Oprah Winfrey show, I know that there is some purpose in me having been saved. I don't know what that purpose is at the moment, but I know that it will become clear in the future. And so now I know exactly what that purpose was. But it took 15 years from the tsunami, well, not exactly 15 years, but say 10 years from the tsunami to really realize what that was. Because in the aftermath of the tsunami, I had a lot of survivor's guilt of like, why did I get saved when so many other people died? 230,000 people died in the tsunami. And I didn't have a family at the time. I wasn't married. I didn't have children. And there were, one of the friends that I made, he lost the love of his life in the tsunami, and lots of other people lost their family members. So I had a lot of survivor's guilt, and I really felt this urge, this need to make my life mean something. I had to make it count for something, because I had been saved when so many had been saved. That took me off to Iraq during the Iraq War to go and work for NGOs in the Iraq War, delivering projects and programs to the refugees and displaced people. But it wasn't really until I, then had another serious diagnosis a couple of years later that I really then had another wake-up call and had another lesson that I had to learn. And then I found my purpose with the coaching that I do. And so now I'm a holistic transformational coach that helps other people to find their life purpose and overcome their struggles and reach their full potential.
Wow. So actually it took you 15 years to survive, to process this huge transformation, because yes, sure, it starts at that moment, but it has to go through your whole body, your whole life changes. And you put it in a nice little summary here where that you wanted to help others, and what is your purpose, and you became a holistic transformational coach. Can you tell us about what that is, because not everyone knows what a holistic transformational coach is?
Sorry, you cut out there
Did you hear my
briefly, Shamna.
question?
Could you just repeat the question for me?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering, because not everyone knows what a holistic transformational coach is. Can you share with us what that is? What does that entail?
Sure. So I call myself a holistic transformational coach because I use a holistic approach. I look at mind, body, emotions, lifestyle, energy, spirit, and soul, all as one, because, each of those makes up our, everything basically. So you can't work in isolation from one or the other. Transformational coach is really just, it's just that I take people on a journey and I help them change. So I help them transform. I deal with lots of different types of clients. So I don't have a specific, niche or anything. I deal with all sorts of people, all sorts of clients. Some come to me with depression and anxiety. Some come to me to create their best life. Some come to me to find their passion. Some are coming to me for relationship stuff. So the transformational coach side of things is really just the journey that I take them on, the transformational journey that I take them on. And because I'm also an NLP practitioner, an Ayurvedic consultant, a yoga therapist, and mindfulness and meditation teacher with Reiki and EFT and all these other kind of like holistic things, I'm able to use lots of different tools and techniques when I'm working with people, and depending on what their needs are, then I can sort of help them. I'm also an Ayurvedic consultant, so I bring a lot of different skills to and knowledge to my coaching. So it helps to really inform me to make each coaching very specific and bespoke to each individual person.
I'm just going to say that bespoke for the Dutch people among us means it's very specific. Like I'm going to say in Dutch maatwerk, but it means it is bespoke is like it is made for you. Just so that's a word I had to learn this year. It's like, oh, bespoke. That's a new word for me living here in the Netherlands, right? So when you now have tapped into this, like you've gone on your journey, you've found your life purpose by becoming a coach, a transformational coach for people. And as you said, it depends on how general it is. How did you get to the specific life purpose part of things? How did you know, or do you know, how do we know when we have reached our or found our life purpose?
You really just know, when they say about relationships, when you meet the right person, you just know it's the same kind of thing. Energy flow within you. Everything feels aligned. You feel joyous when you wake up in the day. You feel happy about the job that you're doing. You're creating positive change and transformation in other people. You have amazing results with your clients. Everything is just in a flow. Life is easy. It's in a flow. Kind of like energy flows through you. That divine goddess energy is very kind of like when you are connecting with your higher purpose and yourself. It is really that divine goddess energy that you're tapping into. We all are divine gods and goddesses, and it's really about tapping into that and not letting the fear overcome you, because so many people live their lives because of fear. They make choices out of fear rather than out of courage. They're not living the life that they really truly want to live because they're scared. They don't want to make those choices of leaving that safe job or leaving their hometown because they're scared of and it's not even it's not a fear of as much as it is a fear of possibility. And it's the possibilities that you could have in your life that scare people. And it keeps them kind of small, keeps people small. So it's like once you tap into your higher purpose and yourself, you stop thinking small, you start thinking big, and you start to let go of all those limiting beliefs of what you can and what you can't do. And you start to create a bigger and broader life for yourself. And you really tap into that true part of you, that passionate, that part of you that's pure joy and pure love, really. And you can just feel it. You can really feel it.
So wouldn't you then say that, I mean, you said something very profound where it is that for many of us, the fear of the possibilities of life stops us from taking those steps to live our dreams, right? So would you then say, and I don't want to go too much back into the tsunami, but would you say that you having experienced that tsunami has actually been the summit of fear there? So what in heaven's name could be worse than that? Therefore, you are now, let's just say, fearless, and so you can always continue to follow your dreams.
I mean, I wouldn't say that you become fearless just because you've survived a tsunami, but certainly, I mean, I've had multiple near-death experiences before the age of 40. So I would say that when you go through profound experiences like that, you are able to overcome them, what you feel inside is this power and this strength. And I organised that really rescue effort whilst I'd nearly drowned, and all these other people were there. And I always used to just think, oh, well, I just did what anybody else would do. And it took so many people to say to me, but nobody else did that. So it's about when you are hit with something like that, you go to the essence of who you are. Everything else strips away, and you are your essential being. Okay. So the thing that happens when you're in that situation is that, and that is a place of real power for some people and the opposite for others, because it depends on how you react and what comes out for you as to, you know, what's going to come out, basically.
Actually, I find that very beautiful, Annie, because I remember years ago, my car went into a spin. Actually, recently went into spin, but that first time it went into a spin, it hit the what do you call it? The roadway rail, let's say, and because of that, sparks came off, and those sparks landed near my tires, and a fire started, and I went into automatic mode where I was like, right. Let me put my, all my safety things in my dashboard and take out the extra spare tire of the car and all of that. I just went to do, and so in the end, someone said, "Well, why did you take the spare tire out?" And so I don't know. That's what seemed to me the most logical thing to do at that time. And you saying this about when you are in a life death situation, let's say, you get stripped to your essence, and and that you are then confronted with your either the hero or what would you call the opposite of that? Well, let's say not hero as core. I remember
I don't
being
want
proud of
to
my yeah. I remember being proud of myself and saying, "Hey, I think I went into hero mode because I just went chuck, 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 chuck," and it was only when I was on the total other side of the road, watching it go up in flames, knowing I'm safe, that then I allowed myself to let go and cry and melt. So I'm just saying. So yeah, that you come to the core of who you really are. Do you freeze or do you become warrior? Let's say. Is that something like what you were saying?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know, and there's no judgment here about how people react, because everybody reacts differently, and you can't don't know how you're going to react until it happens. So there's no judgment. It's a really instinctive thing again, you know, it's not a call that you make. It just kind of happens. So some people just kind of gravitate towards one, and other people freeze and become more like rabbits. And they're both, you know, they're both normal responses to something like that. But yes, you do get stripped, I think, to your essence, your essential being, and you create bonds very quickly because you're in this very kind of like, you know, dramatic, you know, traumatized kind of like scenario that's quite unusual.
Yeah.
But I
So
don't
I'm
you
actually
have to go. Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't think you don't need to go through a near-death experience to be able to find your
well.
purpose.
That's
Okay,
what I
so
wanted to
just let
ask
me
you.
just tell
Well,
everybody out there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Is that what you are going to be sharing with us? I believe is how do we use joy to activate to our connection with our higher selves? You know, how do we activate our? You know, what do we do to connect that joy to find our higher selves or our higher purpose?
Well, there are many things that you can do, but one of the things that, you know, I suggest that people can do is, you know, connect into your inner child, you know, into that free. When we were children, we used to be free and easy. We used to play. We didn't have worries in the world, you know, so it's connecting into that kind of childlike part of yourself and really tapping into what gives you joy.
Hmm.
Okay. And reliving that joy and, you know, experimenting, you know, because we get so tied up in the day-to-day minutia of life that we sometimes we don't look up and kind of like have a look at what else is going on. So it's really about like connecting in with your joy, connecting to your inner child, finding some play time and
Hmm.
doing something that inspires you.
Oh, absolutely. And are there other like ways that I mean, so this is would you then say, because this is that just entered my head, would you then say that that which gives you pleasure as a child with that sparkle, that innocence sparkle, that is where your higher purpose lies?
I would say that it's a place that you can explore. Um, you know, it's not something you can just do like, okay, I liked to play on the swings when I was younger, so that's going to be my purpose going forward. But yes, whatever you were passionate about when you were a child. I know so many people that they used to write a lot when they were kids, or they used to draw a lot or paint a lot. But the school system in Europe is not really geared up for creative people or artistic people. It's all academia, academia, academia. So it's like, it's about, you don't even need to make it into your job necessarily, but it just find something that gives you, that inspires you, that taps into your inner creativity, that taps into your inner goddess, taps into that inner joy. And once you start tapping into that, then a whole world of opportunities and possibilities begins to open up for you.
Wonderful. So, what other tips would you then give us concerning this tapping into our higher selves? What other ways would you say that we could do that to connect with our higher self, or to to activate it, find our purpose?
Yeah, so I mean, sure. One of the things I do regularly is a heart-centered meditation. So really feeling into, so you do a little meditation and relax and everything, and then you just kind of like put your hand on your heart, your right hand on your heart, and just spend a few minutes really connecting into your heart center when your mind is quietened down and you've done your kind of like, you've done your 5-10 minutes of quiet meditation. At the end of that, you do another 5-10 minutes of heart-centered meditation, and just let your heart speak to you and ask yourself, ask your intuition, ask your higher self, what do I need from what do I need from you? Give me the answers. Ask a question. You have all the answers. Everybody has all the answers in themselves. Okay, we're all wise beyond our dreams. Even if we don't know it, we are. So coaching is all about finding the answers within. So I encourage people to start communicating with yourself. Do the heart-centered meditation. You can journal around this. There are so many different tools and techniques that you can use to get in touch with that higher self and your higher purpose.
And so, would you then say that we should be doing this every day to connect with ourselves, to stay aligned?
Yeah, if you can, yes, of course. The more you do it, the more connection that you have with yourself, the greater it will become. So, with all of these things, consistent action is what kind of like makes the difference. If you're just going to do it once a week, obviously you're not going to create that connection in the same way as if you are doing a heart-centered meditation and meditating daily or twice daily or even 3 times daily. Now, I know that's not necessarily possible all the time, but you don't have to make it very long. Once you've done one practice, you can just take 2 minutes at lunchtime, when you're on your own, just to connect into yourself and take a few deep breaths. So I'm not talking about doing 20 minutes, half an hour's worth of meditation 3 times a day. Do 15-20 minutes once, and then 2 or 3 minutes checking in with yourself through the day.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know about, well, lovely viewers, I hope you have found this valuable, because I believe I could listen to Annie Naqvi talking for a long time, because I think we have only, well, forgive the what do you call it, the synonym. I was about to say it had the tip of the iceberg, and then immediately I got the tip of the tsunami in my head, but we've only just touched the tip of what Annie Naqvi is able to share with us, and I am very, very well aware of that. So I would like to say, Annie, if we would like to know or come into contact with you, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can go on my website on anniecoaching.com. That's ANICOACHING.com. You can find me on Annie at Annie Coaching email address as well. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Annie Naqvi, and my surname is spelled N for November, AQVI. So Annie Naqvi. Thank you for that, Shamna. That helps a lot. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or email me, or find me on my website.
Absolutely, this is so wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to share concerning this subject? What is there anything else you would love to share? Is there anything you'd like to ask me? Is there anything that you'd like to give the viewers as an extra thing, just to say, to round this off? And I want to say thank you, but I'll get to that in a second. Is there anything else that you would love to share, Annie?
Yeah, so I just wanted to share that, my mission at the moment is to inspire, impact, and motivate the same amount of people that died in the tsunami, 230,000 people, to find their inner purpose, their higher purpose, and their passion. So I'm very passionate about this. I feel like it would be a great honor in memory of those souls that died, and a real tribute to them. So that's my kind of mission. And, I'm very motivated by, inspiring a lot of people to find their passion and their purpose and their higher self. So that's really what I wanted to share.
Oh.
So just don't be scared, go ahead and just do it.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you very much for this lovely talk. Thank you for sharing your past, your journey, and the transformation with us, and also what it is that you are now really passionate about now. Um, as I said, we have only touched on a little bit of it, but lovely ladies, I would, if you want to reach out to Annie, please do so, because as you have heard, her mission is very important. And she can help you, she can help someone reach out. So I would like to say thank you, lovely ladies, for watching. Thank you. We're looking forward to seeing your comments anywhere in all of the social media. Thank you, dear Annie, for sharing with us, Annie Naqvi, for sharing with us about your experience and your knowledge. And as I said, we've only touched. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next interview. And we will, reach out to us and we will contact you. Thank you very much. And I will see you all in the next time. Thank you, Annie. And Shamna Ligwe,
Thank
Goddess
you very much,
Creation.
Shamna.
Okay. Bye.